The boys are back in town. The boys are back in town. Hey, hey. The boys are back in town. Yo, welcome to the Trapcast, dope TV podcast where we recap, review, and recommend the best television and movies about dope. Look, stuff like Snowfall, Breaking Bad, Power, The Wire, The Boys, Goodfellas. That's all the type of content we cover here on this podcast. So if you're trying to find out what you can watch for Netflix and chill, Amazon Prime Video, HBO Max, Stars, Hulu, you name it, this is the place you should be. Yo, I'm your boy Ferg moving weight. And today we ain't got our boy G to go. Happy anniversary to him and his girl, man. We can't wait to have you back next week. But today we got my peoples. Another player partner. Killian in the building to help us review the boys today. Let's go. Yo, what's up, Killian, man? How you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Man, it's been a long time, dude, and we're here for a special day.
That's right. That's right.
To talk about something amazing, man. We're talking about the boys, dude.
Yeah. Season 2 just hit, right?
Yeah, man. We're kicking it off hardcore, man. And like, people don't know, I hit up my peoples on Facebook and I was like, yo, who's finished season 2? There were several people that hit me up, did the likes and stuff like that. But I was like, I don't know if I can trust them to bring them on in the absence of our boy G to go. And Killian, who already has a cool nickname, which is actually his real name. So we don't have to do a stage name for him.
That's right.
He said, yeah, I'm almost finished, man. I'm one episode out. I was like, yes, this is who I'm going to get. And me and Killian have a great history. We work together. And now we're back together again, my friend.
Finally. It's taken all these years.
Yeah, man. So, yeah, I'm glad to have you here, man. And, dude, let's just talk about this thing, man. We got
Absolutely.
the new season. You know what I mean? I got put on by someone else, Steve. Shout out to Steve, who also used to work with us back in the day. I don't know if he was there when you came in or he had already left, but he put me onto it. And I was like, you know what? He's like, you should review it. And I was like, okay. And I didn't know what it was about at first. I was like, this is a superhero show. Like, we do shows about, movies and content that talk about dope. Well, what I didn't realize is there's this thing called Compound V in this new, in this superhero show. And so, for people that don't know Killian, this is not your father's superhero movie or show, right? This is
not one bit. Not one bit.
Not at all, bro. This is something totally different. Totally different. When I went in, I was like, go ahead.
Take Marvel and throw it out the window. It's got nothing.
It's done. DC, no, none of that.
That's right.
I mean, I don't care what superhero thing you've seen ever in your life, cartoon, movie, whatever, comic book. This is a different thing. So, for people that hadn't watched the first season, right? So, if we talk about it, man, we got the kind of anti-crew, the boys headed up by Billy the Butcher. What an amazing name, right, dude?
How? It's the perfect guy.
It's the perfect guy. And he looks so salty and just you know what I mean? He's the perfect guy to head up that crew. And he just hates soups, man. You find out in that first season. He hates soups.
He's turning it up.
Why,
that first episode.
Yeah. He has a reason why. Well, according to him, his wife was raped by the soups. And I think Highlander specifically. And we'll talk about that a little later. But, and he just basically hates them. He despises soups, and he's kind of he has this crew that he put together. He meets up with who was it, Huey? Huey has the same kind of scenario as him though. His girl got killed by the soups by A-Train, right? He just runs really fast and just blows
he
right
runs
through her.
Through her.
through her, dude. And like Hugh is just holding his hands out. Next thing you know, his girl is just a puddle of blood. That's terrible, dude.
Yeah. That's like the first couple of minutes of the show too. Like, welcome.
Like they did not give us a chance to like. I was like, I'm not ready yet. Like I was like, yo, what's going on? And so they kind of have the same kind of like, even though the different sides of the spectrum, but the same kind of reason to like hate Suits. And so all these guys ended up like joining forces. Mother's Milk. I know that's a weird name, guys, but it's a cool ass black dude. You know what I mean? He's hardcore. He
is the boss, man.
Yeah, like, he repping the brothers well in this. So don't be confused by the name. And so that everything is kind of about that whole like finding out about this evil company Vault, finding out about the Seven, which is headed up by Homelander. And what you realize in this show very quickly is that these superheroes are like regular people, and they are douchebags, terrible, dangerous. They kill people. They have sex. They do all of the sins that we do.
Yep.
Would you agree?
Oh yeah, they are like normal, greedy human beings.
Exactly, man. And so we like find that out pretty early. And that intrigued me, and it just continues on from there, right? But like they do a lot. They do a good bit of character development in the first season, and you have some action. But in season 2, the action, the blood, the gore is increased very quickly, man.
They cranked it up to 100.
Yeah, dude, I love it, man. Like, look, man, I'm not opposed to having a little gore, Killian.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed, man. I mean, I'm with it. This is a superhero show. Like, we gotta love that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the opposite of what you get in most superhero things, right? Even in comics, it's a little more laid back. But this just kind of shows what would really happen if Superman shot someone with his laser eyes. It's like they wouldn't just fall to the ground. They'd get cut in half.
Yeah, dude. And like, yeah, exactly, dude. And like, you have a lot of like, what's also a part of it is like a lot of the superheroes, like if you think about DC and Marvel, they have a code, and a lot of times their code is not killing people,
right?
And a lot of times their code is, it seems like they're perfect. Like
right.
I mean, Batman, you obviously and it's a lot of other heroes, they may not be completely perfect, but they still have this code of like, you know what, I don't want to kill people.
That's right.
And these guys, they're doing everything. Like
everything, and on purpose a lot of the time.
On purpose.
That's
like,
the crazy.
It's not even like, oh, I've been pushed over the edge.
Yeah.
This man is gonna destroy the whole universe or the whole world, Earth as we know it. I have to do this. No, they're just doing it like normal, a normal day, dude.
Yep.
And so before we kind of dive even deeper into season 2, I want to know who's your favorite character.
Who's my favorite character? Ooh, that's a tough call. Well, I kind of like Homelander because he's so evil. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like I like him as a person, but I think that his character is like the perfect crazy guy. But like, it's if the Joker, right, actually had like some superpowers that made him invincible. It feels like he kind of encompasses that, and I like seeing him try and get away with everything that he can get away with. So I really like him, but I'm also a big fan of the Butcher, man. He's just ruthless. He's very funny too. He's got a lot of that, like that nice humor that kind of he uses to deflect like all of the real depressing shit that's going on. So those are my two that I kind of lean towards, and they're sort of at each other's throats the whole time anyway. So
dude. I agree, man. Like, it's hard not to like Homelander, dude, because like he's so opposite of like Superman, but he's like the same like level of like power and strength, but he's like total opposite of him, and like he has these weird like moments, and like he's so, it's like, imagine if Superman is like talking to you and he's talking all nice to you, and then all of a sudden he just chops your head off, like just out of nowhere. Like, oh my gosh, he's psychotic. Homelander is psychotic, and I love it. It's just the way they built that character, and his look is so wholesome. Blonde hair, blue eyed, you know what I mean? Like,
American flag on his cape.
Oh, yeah. American flag, rare, white, and blue everywhere. Like, he is. Oh, it's amazing, and I agree with you, man. The Butcher is a great character, and I'm really rocking with him. But I will give an honorable mention to A-Train. I just like A-Train because he to me he just seems like the young and dumb kid.
He really does. Well, and it feels like every time he does something, it doesn't work out for him in the moment, but somehow it just seems to be okay afterwards. Like he always is just kind of stumbling through being a superhero. Like that's his whole thing is I'm a superhero, but I'm not sure how.
Exactly. It's like a high schooler, man. Like you look at them like as an adult, you're like, come on, man, like get it together. And that's what I'm saying with A-Train. So I just kind of like his like just the way he just screws up. And I mean, also there, you know what, the Deep too, man. Like the Deep is just funny to me.
Yeah, he is the guy who just needs everybody to like him. Yeah, but is the most awkward guy in the room. Like he's trying so hard to impress everybody, but there's just no way on earth he's ever gonna do it.
And he's such a weird guy. In the first season, there's a weird moment between him and Starlight where Starlight sleeps with him in order to get into the 7.
Yeah, well, he pulls the power play, right? He's like, come on, you gotta do this, right? I'm a big superhero star. You want this, and come to find out, he's like the reject of the entire group.
Exactly, dude. So yeah, I think those two still get another honorable mention for me. So when we jump into this new season, man, like the crew is on the run, man. Butcher and the guys, like, you know what I mean? We don't know what the heck Butcher is first off. The guys are wanted. They have killed Translucent. I think they blew him up, and like he is killed, and which is crazy. Some regular people killed the Soup, and now Vought and the 7 are just completely after these guys. And it was wow, man. Wow. I'm like, oh no, it's getting real now. How are they gonna survive this moment, dude?
Right. Yeah, right at the end of season 1, they blow up. Well, Homelander kills Stillwell, was that her name? Whoever it was, his baby mama. But also his boss. Like he kills her, and then Butcher gets blamed for it, so they have to go into even more hiding than they already were.
That was a big kicker. That's what really like Butcher being accused of that. That was one of the huge pieces because. You know, and obviously, like you said, Homelander kills her, and that was his mentor, his boo, his everything. He kills her. He's like, I don't care. Look, I don't care. You thought this was my weakness, but it really isn't. Although technically it is, but he was just able to get through that moment and do what he needed to do. But it kind of haunts him a little later. And so man. So like you said, they're on the run. Translucent gets killed. We drop off into the funeral for Translucent, and it's all hell breaks loose. We're getting these guys, and we're gonna tear them up.
Yep.
And so we're trying to figure out where the Butcher is, and what we find out is eventually his wife isn't dead at all. Yeah. And do you remember like what he finds like in that moment? Like it's not just her.
It's also her kid who looks like Homelander.
Looks like Homelander? Yes, he looks a lot like Homelander. Why?
A little bit.
And because it's Homelander's son. Homelander smashed Becca, and the question is, like, the question is like, okay, was this like, some people say, okay, is this an affair with Homelander? What did Butcher really see? But in the end, Homelander has a child with what he doesn't know yet. One is going to be like one of his biggest nemesis, And Butcher doesn't know, like, well, he figures out, but like Butcher is like, oh my gosh, eventually, like, she has a child with Homelander, and like, this kid is a soup.
Yep.
This kid has powers, dude. And Butcher hates soups. Like, it's just not even like he totally despised by him. So like, it's just such a kick in the nuts, dude.
Yep. It's like, how far can you throw someone? He's spent all of season 1 trying to get revenge for all of this and trying to make Homelander pay, and then it's like, she's not dead. She has a kid with Homelander, and now you know about it. Like, so, and then I'm gonna drop you in the middle of nowhere.
In the middle of nowhere. Yeah, like, okay, you're good to go. Now you need to go somewhere. Drop them in the middle of nowhere, and now I don't even know. I can't even imagine what he's thinking in that moment. He thinks his wife. He's like, he's had all these revenge dreams. Everything that he was driven for was because of this moment, knowing that his wife was murdered and raped by Supes, and now he realized she's still alive and she has a son by a Supe. Craziness, dude. And his crew, like the rest of the boys, like, they didn't know where he was, so they're like, they have a little bit, especially Huey has a little bit of resentment for him for this moment. You know what I mean? That was a little struggle when he first came back, right?
Right. Yeah, the kind of the power struggle between the two, because Huey went to go save MM and Frenchie.
Yep.
And then Butcher went to go deal with the Homelander situation.
Yeah. And so like, and then the Butcher tried to come back and like act like he was the boss again, and technically he is, like, but you know, Huey wasn't rocking with that. He was like, bruh, like, look, we've been here like fighting hard, and you just jump in here like out of nowhere, like, hey, let's do this. And then he's even at this point, Butcher is blinded. He's even more driven by saving Becca at this point, so he doesn't care. Like, a lot of times it just feels like he doesn't care what happens to the rest of the crew. Like, we got to just make this happen.
Right. His sole mission is to get Becca back, regardless of anybody else's goals.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. We got and that's a interesting struggle between the two, and that they're all those guys, and they're fighting against each other, but at the same time they're running. So, you know, Butcher is back on the mission again, and we have some interesting moments in this new season. Homelander is still. He's still terrible. He's absolutely terrible. So he lost the mentor, who was also kind of the head of the Seven, kind of controlled them. So now he's trying to take control, right?
Right.
The power struggle begins. He's also trying to find new members. Do you remember the scene where the guy is trying out the blind superhero?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Homelander is a douche.
Right. So it's one of those it's one of those scenes that they like to set up where they go, this is how a normal superhero would act, and then he's like, screw that. Like, that's not how we act. I'm the boss. I can do whatever I want, sort of. That's like his whole mentality this season is, I can do whatever the fuck I want. Exactly. And yeah, because he calls in, he has the new head of whoever the Supes. He makes her come back, and with the understanding that he's going to control her instead of her controlling him. Exactly. And she tries to find this she's got a disabled Supe is what she called him. It'd be so good for the image of the Seven. And he just, what does he do? He always smacks his ears, right?
Yeah, so the guy is blind, right? And like a Daredevil type, right? Like, Daredevil was blind. He fights crime. He does amazingly. This guy is actually doing amazing. He's an amazing superhero. But his power is that he has these great senses with the ears, right? And so what Homelander decides to do, he pops his ears and makes him deaf. What a terrible person he is, dude.
Like, to prove a point, too. Like just to show I'm the best. Yeah. Here you go.
And I don't want to have any disabled Seven members.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
Everybody's got to be perfect.
He has to be perfect, because Homelander is perfect. Blonde hair, blue eyes. What's interesting about that, I saw the real guy who plays Homelander, and he's, you know, a brunette. dark beard, all that stuff. I'm like, yo, I didn't even recognize him. Like, I was looking at the cast list, and I was like, where is Homelander? Why wouldn't they have Homelander on the cast list? And I realized this guy, this brunette dude with a dark beard and dark eyebrows and dark hair is Homelander. So it was interesting to find out, dude.
Yeah.
So we also getting to this point, like, you know, the situation with Compound V, we start to figure out a little bit more that Compound V has been used to like create new soups.
Mm-hmm.
People don't know we're not saying a racial slur with soups. Soups is what they're called. Like, technically in the show, it might be a racial slur, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it is.
But everyone says soups. Like, so even soups say soup. So I'm assuming it's not. But yeah, we see that we learn a little bit more that a lot these guys are really being created through Compound V, which Vought, the evil company, has created. The whole talk about that, like how they took kids and stuff, man, and they like put them through these trials and stuff. That was crazy, dude. I don't know how you felt about that.
It was a little strange because it feels like it's one of those things where that's how in reality, right? That's probably how they could create superheroes, is by, you know, injecting some weird genetic concoction into kids or whoever, and so it's funny that they're taking kids and you know, you manipulating the parents by giving them loads of cash and then making the kids think that you always had these powers, like kind of like the fairy tale, right? That's kind of Vought's whole game, is everybody on the outside, right? The people who aren't the boys and the people who aren't the soups all see, just like how we go and watch the Avengers movies. Oh, they're so great and pure, and wow, Spider-Man got his powers from getting bitten by a spider. That's so cool and everything. And really, it was just a kid in a cage that they were injecting with shit and making him do weird stuff. Like, and it's all this weird for-profit capitalist, like, super company, like, I don't know, like Apple or something. But
exactly. And one of their biggest things, and you know, one of the biggest things for a lot of these companies that we have in the real world, these corporations, is they want soups to be in the military, and then at that point you can get a huge military contract, and that's where all the money is.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean? And so Highlander has been told by his mentor that this is one of the most important things, is getting soups in the military, and he keeps pushing that whole agenda still to this day. But we start to dig in and start to see different things happening with like a lot of these soups, man. Like a lot of the people part of the Seven, like the Deep is like in this whole weird little crisis, but he's meeting new people. He's starting to be a part of the church. Like,
that's right.
This weird church.
The collective, right? The Church of the Collective or something.
Church of the Collectives, dude. It's like, that's such a weird thing. And he wants to be in there so bad. Like, he just agrees with everything they say. And he's just with it, man. He's just with it all the way.
I mean, it's just his character, like, is perfect for something like that, because it reminds me of something like Scientology, right, where there's like tiers to it, and he spends money in order to go up in tiers so that he can get back into the Seven, and all he wants is for everybody to think he's awesome. Exactly. Even though his superpower is that he's got gills.
Cat's gills. These are what he believes are disgusting gills. And some people kind of like, I think even Homelander like makes fun of that, like, oh, this is so disgusting. Like, so he has mental health issues where he thinks he's disgusting. Like, the gills talk to him, all this stuff. Like, so he really has a huge problem with himself. He doesn't have really much confidence in himself.
Right.
So he's like looking like this. I think getting in the Seven kind of helps him validate himself as a person. So that's why he wants to get back in. So he's doing.
They're the best of the best of the soups, right? So it's like if he can be back on top, then just like in the first season when he messes with Starlight, right? He can show up for women and stuff like that, right? Show off. Oh yeah, I'm in the Seven. sleep with me because I'm real cool, even though he's ashamed of his gills, right?
It's so crazy, dude. and then who also another guy who's kind of having an identity crisis, A-Train, who's like, at this point he got kind of defeated by Huey and Starlight, but they technically save him. They make sure, like, they get him to the hospital and stuff like that. So he was in a coma for forever. He wakes up, and like, it's funny how like Starlight is trying to, like, she's tiptoeing around. She's like, oh, she kind of feels like, oh, he doesn't remember what happened. I mean, he's not gonna tell anybody, because if he snitches to Homelander, then Starlight is gonna get choked out, because Homelander is stronger than everybody. He's gonna kill you. And he doesn't care. He's gonna kill you. And so eventually she finds out. Eventually A-Train lets her know. I forget. I remember. I totally remember.
He's very nonchalant about it. That scene was very funny to me, because it felt like she was trying to set it up like you remember how you called for backup and I saved you? And he's like, yeah, I remember you and your boyfriend trying to break out and you letting him and you betraying us. Yeah, I remember all that. But it's all part of his game. Like, it's still part of this higher game that the Soups all play, where it's like, why hasn't he told Homelander? Like, they all suck up to Homelander, so why hasn't he told him? But it's all just blackmail that they can have.
Exactly. And Starlight uses it, kind of comes back at him like, you're not gonna say anything, you know what I mean? Because this and this. And Starlight is less of, in the beginning, you think about it, in season 1, she is extremely naive. You know what I mean? She's the perfect girl, you know what I mean? She's like the Barbie of the Soups. And this season, she's like, you can see her pulling away. And eventually she completely kind of pulls away. And so that moment is really funny. And, Starlight herself also having like weird situations where she's starting to find out more information about more of the Soups. She's starting to find more information about Bot and how they're doing this stuff with the Compound V things, because she's basically helping Huey at her own risk to kind of find out this information. And she provides the information, and then eventually, as Homelander kind of find, or some of the other Soups kind of find things out, she then kind of gets shunned from the whole crew, gets blamed for some crazy stuff that our new character Stormfront has done. Who is technically an old character from back in the day called Liberty or something.
Yes, we find out from they go investigating Liberty, and they find out that Stormfront is Liberty. She's just lived this long. She doesn't age.
Yeah, exactly. And it was interesting early on. I was trying to figure out like what is going to go on with this character, like, because she's a douchebag. But she hasn't done anything serious. Like then you start to see her doing stuff, really serious stuff. And one of the things we eventually get in the later episodes are when they go into that one, what is called Sage Grove or something like that, that hospital.
Oh yeah. I think that's what it's called. Yeah. Yes, Sage Grove.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And so she's kind of like overseeing that place. And this is where they're like doing experiments to try to they're trying to like
to create super terrorists, right?
Yeah, super terrorists, but they're also trying to make Compound V more stable too, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
So that they can distribute it to the masses, right? Like that's their ultimate goal.
That's their ultimate goal. Regular people can take Compound V without just exploding or dying or something like that. And man, and we find like there's a dangerous situation. This is where we see what was his name? Was it Lampstar? What's his name?
Lamplighter.
Lamplighter, yeah, Lamplighter. We find Lamplighter. He's an interesting dude. And then the chick that explodes heads. Was she exploding heads or bodies?
Yes, it was. I think she mostly did bodies, or mostly heads. But I think she can also explode bodies too. I think she just whatever she wants.
Yo, I was like, if I was in that moment when she came out, everybody was scared of her when she came out the door. They're like, okay, calm down. We like you. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're cool with you. And so she's killing everybody. She practically killed everybody in that building except the guys and the boys and our boy Lamp. And so they save Lamplighter, but there's an interesting moment they have between him and Frenchie. Yeah. Because Frenchie, kind of despises him when we find out because Lamplighter actually killed a bunch of kids or something like that.
Yeah, so Mallory, who's like the big CIA agent that they kind of report to or try to report to, she had them on a mission, and he was supposed to be watching Lamplighter, but his friend OD'd or something, so he had to go try and save him. And while that was going on, Lamplighter went and killed her grandkids.
Exactly. Yep. I think his brother OD'd, maybe. I think that's
what it was something brother or best friend, something like that.
Yep. And
somebody close to him.
And Lamplighter killed a bunch of people, and he started to explain himself, like why that happened, like he didn't it wasn't supposed to go that way. And you start to have some sympathy for Lamplighter, including the whole crew. So they save him, and then they're gonna use him as a snitch.
Yeah.
And Lamplighter's like, cool, man, I'm for it, you know what I mean? And what they're trying to do is get more information about the company, the Supes, and he was a huge witness for them. He was going to be a huge witness for him. Something happened to this guy, but one of the funniest things about him is, like, before he's going to like go to court, he is like infatuated with pornography.
And not just any pornography, but the Supes pornography, right? Like and it's not the actual Supes. It's like actors. Like it was.
Yeah, it's like when you if you see a porn movie, it's like you do like the parody porn of real movies. That's what they're doing. They're playing like Supes in it, and that's what he likes to watch. It's like crazy. He's making Huey watch it with him. He's like, dude, why you keep watching this? And he's like, bro, like, this is my thing, you know what I mean? It's a fun moment.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna watch it. There's nothing you can do about it. It's a great scene.
it's a dope scene. Like, it's a scene that makes you want to watch the whole thing. Like, it's so funny, but like, he's so serious about it. But somehow Huey convinces him, like, you know what? We should go save Starlight. At this point, Starlight is
that's when they find out that she's been outed.
Yep,
right?
She's been outed. Yep. They found out she's been outed, and he's gonna go save his girl. Huey is not a Supe. He's just a regular nerd. And he has Lamplighter with him, and so Lamplighter can help him. They go there. Lamplighter wants to be a hero again. He wants to be the top hero. He had those dreams, you know what I mean? He wants to be like the Homelander. And it didn't work out.
He's kind of got that deep complex.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. But they get there, and do you remember what Lamplighter did in that moment?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
He sets himself on fire, like in front of the statue of the Seven, right? And I think what it is, they sneak in, they get in. He's like, all right, we're getting in, we're gonna do this, we're gonna save Starlight or whatever. But really, his whole intention was to kill himself. Because he gets in front of the statue of the Seven. He sees that they've removed his statue, and then he just lights himself on fire in some, I don't know, sort of ritualistic suicide to like prove something. I don't know. It's insane.
And he was so burnt up, dude. Like, it was disgusting. And like, he was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, his response to that was weird. Like, I'm like, dude, like, you should be like mortified by the whole moment. But he did save. They did get Starlight back, because she was captured. They did get her back, and so that was a good moment for Huey. You know what I mean? Kind of still showing his love for her, but not really saying it. And both of them in this weird scenario where they love each other, they're not saying anything about it, and things of that nature.
I think that whole scene with Huey is interesting because he's such a straight edge guy. But this whole show keeps throwing him into situations where he's really uncomfortable, and he has to do the thing so that he can save everybody. But when he does it, it's not like in a movie where you'd see someone do that and it's like they have this big revelation and now they're going to do the right thing. He's still uncomfortable while it's going on. So in order to save Starlight, he has to chop off Lamplighter's hand to get through the security doors. And he's just running around with a severed hand, holding it up. The security doors like this, and he's freaking out the whole time.
Oh my gosh, dude. Like, it was so crazy. And somebody we hadn't talked about a lot yet, is Queen. And one of the things Homelander find out is something she kept secret for a while. She's a lesbian. She's gay. And dude, they ended up like using that as like in their movie, their little apocalyptic movie and crap. Like, it is so funny. Like he's using her. He's like making her pay without killing her.
Right.
Like, you lied to me. He's all about that trust thing. Like, he hates for people to lie to him. He hates people to like, overuse his trust and stuff like that. And so he basically is like, yo, we're gonna let you be the spokesperson for all gay people.
Right. And she has no interest in it. And the person who she had a relationship with previously, they weren't even together technically at this point. She I think her friend says she's bi, she's not even a lesbian, and the whole time, every time they're in front of the cameras, she's a lesbian. lesbian. And because lesbians got more ratings, right? It gets more hits. That's what it is.
Yep, exactly. And so, man, that is a crazy moment, and that sends her into a spiral of just drinking, and she ended up losing the relationship with the woman she was with, because they kind of somewhat rekindled, or they had like and they created these gender roles where like Queen was kind of the guy, and then it just got to be in this weird scenario, and then old girl leaves and Queen just starts drinking and doing whatever at that point.
Yeah. She's done being a superhero.
She's so done, man. Because she was on what people, if you haven't saw, like she was on the plane with like Homelander, where they could have saved tons of people on a plane that was about to crash.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
A whole plane full of people. Yeah.
And Homelander was like, "What? There's no way they're gonna die. We're not gonna die with them. We're not gonna get hurt with them. Let's just leave." Homelander is a douche, man. He just let those people die in the plane without doing anything. He didn't try anything.
Oh no, he was done as soon as the plane started going down, and it's funny to see that coldness from Superman, essentially.
Exactly.
And as he's walking towards the back of the plane to leave, everything's gonna be fine. We're gonna save you. Yeah, it's great. And then he has to drag Maeve off of the plane, right?
Yep.
As she's trying to save people, but she sees it as a I don't have any other choice sort of thing. So she's got that whole guilt going on.
Yeah, and that just creates a weird dynamic between her and Homelander, and it creates somewhat of a resentment from her with Homelander, because she's given up so much and done and compromised so much, including her relationship and one of the loves of her life, and he still doesn't get it. And so she's at the point where she's done. She's like, screw this. And we get to the point where like all these guys are just having weird lives, and this newbie, who we think is a newbie, Stormfront, is kind of becoming popular, and kind of taking over the whole thing. And we don't know her agenda yet. You know what I mean? She had this crazy fight at the whole Sage Grove, and turns out she was hiding that from Homelander. And Homelander and her were kind of like at odds at first. Then eventually they become a couple.
Yeah. She's such an interesting character because they introduce her as kind of the anti-Vought hero, right? If you remember, like when they first show off Stormfront, she's knows how to use social media. She's very savvy. She's got a whole team of people, all this stuff. She's very popular with the younger crowd and just with the crowds in general. And every time she's talking to them, she's like, Vought's stupid. They're just this big corporation. They just want to control you and do all this stuff. When really she's setting that up to trick them into following her as she transitions into, oh yeah, I'm also part of this corporation. Suckers.
Yeah, and I'm somewhat of the founders, because Stormfront is a Nazi.
Oh yeah. She's straight up as a Nazi.
Super racist.
She was married to Vought, the guy who founded the company, and they were part of the Nazi party experimenting on people back then. So she knew like Goebbels and all the fucking assholes. All of them.
and it's crazy because now you realize, and what eventually happens is she's like super in love with Homelander. He represents everything that the Nazis like want, right?
Right,
blonde
He's
hair,
the perfect
oh
specimen.
goodness. And she's loved.
Yep.
You realize that she doesn't really hate him. She actually like super in love with him. He falls in love with her. Obviously, they do what they do, sex, all that stuff, and they're together in this thing. Eventually, they try to like even take his son from his birth mother and like raise him as their own in their own family. Like it became a huge situation between those two, and that became his love of his life. She gave him everything he needed: the confidence, the compliments, all of that stuff to boost his ego.
Yeah,
and he loved it.
Yeah, man. And she helped him get back in with the crowds, right? Because he was kind of struggling to maintain his popularity. I think at one point he had talked about his numbers slipping and stuff because he got caught killing a civilian or something on camera, and everybody was boo Homelander sucks. And then he goes to her and she's like, all right, we're gonna fix this. And she gets her weird social media team to put out all the different memes and stuff supporting Homelander, and it's very it's kind of unsettling because you see it and you're like, this kind of shit's kind of going on in our society, not with Soups, but it's unsettling because you're seeing her pump out memes that are like pro America and pro Soups going in the army and all this stuff, and it's going around on all this different social media, and all of a sudden Homelander and her are the favorites again. Exactly. And they're kind of in control.
What they don't realize is her play is to eventually kind of like twist that whole thing into a white supremacy.
It's not subtle at all near the end. It's one of those things where she's given speeches and you're like, wait a minute, hold on. That first speech seemed like it was kind of positive, and then it's like she slips in a racial slur and you're like, well, hold on, that's not go ahead. And then it's all about nationality, and then she turns it into about what is it, this they use the Soup terrorists kind of as like that's the grounding point, and that's her thing, is turning everybody against the Soup terrorists are coming to get us, and we have to keep America safe or whatever it is. And it's this whole crazy thing that she's totally manipulated everybody by making her seem like she's anti-Vought and anti-corporation, when really she's like the weird evil Nazi mastermind who hates everybody. And you get glimpses of it right when she interacts with A-Train. I thought it was funny that they kept, like, every time she walked past him she kind of give him a nasty look, and at first you're like, maybe she just doesn't like A-Train because he's a drug addict who kills people, but really she's just fucking racist.
Exactly. And what's interesting is, like, as we kind of wind down here, like, is she becomes, so after Lamplighter dies, he's no longer can be a witness. They're trying to find a new witness. Mm-hmm. Starlight wants to be a witness. The problem with Starlight is she's already been blamed for the murders of a bunch of people, and so like that Stormfront did. And so now we're in this position where what they find out, and they get this information from A-Train himself, and they put out across all media that Stormfront is a Nazi. She's Liberty, blah blah blah. Here's her history, and that's when things go crazy. Yep. And that's where we start to get here to the end, where it's just this ultimate battle between the boys and the Soups, mostly being Homelander and Stormfront.
Right.
Yeah, man. And it's and at this point, Butcher is trying to save Becca. He had a deal with the Vought company to give up her son. Mm-hmm. But in the end he couldn't really do it because look at what she originally found out, that she started to feel like, okay, Butcher doesn't care about my son, so I can't go with him. But then in this moment she realizes he actually cares, because he cares so much for her. It's hard for him to not care about the son.
Yeah.
But what we end up with is a son who doesn't know how to be a Soup, but is a Soup. And in the moment, what we have is this final standoff where it's Stormfront, Becca. I think the son name is Ryan.
Yes. Yeah.
And the Butcher. They're in a fight. No one here can beat Stormfront at this point. Stormfront has Becca on the tree, choked out. The Butcher is literally hammering her with
he's got guns. He's got crowbar. That was another one. He's got all sorts of. He's throwing everything he can at her, and it's just bouncing off.
It's not bouncing off. And there's only one person here that's going to be able to defeat Stormfront, and it just so happens to be the son Ryan. And that moment was able to be the catalyst for him to learn how to do the
heat vision, laser eyes, whatever it is.
Whatever they're called. The same thing you see Superman do and what we see Homelander do in this show, he does. And he blows Stormfront away. But he nicks his mom too. Yeah. Slits his mom's throat. She's bleeding out. The Butcher is crying, devastated. He knows what's about to happen, but he's holding her. You know what I mean? And then you get in that really sweet moment where she says, hey, make sure you take care of him. Take care of him. Promise me, you know? That's crazy, dude. Yeah,
even though he's killed me. Tell him it's not his fault and take care of him.
Man, dude. Like, it's like, and that for the Butcher is like, it's so like, oh my gosh, I hate these soups. And
dude, for a split second, I thought he was going to go after the kid because he picks up the crowbar and he looks at the kid in like blind rage. And then Homelander shows up.
Homelander shows up, and the kid, you know, Homelander has started to somewhat get good in with the kid at some point during the show, but then the kid, you know, realizes that Homelander is not the guy I should be rocking with.
Right.
And so he decides that he's gonna go with Butcher, and that's kind of. We're at that point where this kid is going to protect. Who came and saved them?
It's Queen Maeve. She flies in because at this moment Homelander is going to kill either Butcher or both of them. You know, he doesn't care because his love of his life is in pieces on the ground thanks to his son. But Queen Maeve shows up with the video from the plane. Right, she's had this kind of in her back pocket. And it's funny because this kind of proves like Homelander's biggest fault, right? His biggest weakness is that he, just like the Deep, needs everybody to love him, right?
He needs everyone to love him. He needs everyone to stroke his ego.
Right.
It's important to him.
So that's how she saves him, is by, I'm going to release this to the press, and then nobody's going to trust you. Nobody's going to like you. You're going to be done.
Yep.
And you know, because I think his threat is like, I'll kill everybody if you show that. And she's like, that's cool, but there's going to be nobody to worship the ground you walk on.
Exactly.
So, and he goes, okay, yeah, they can go.
Yep. And that's so crazy because she's no match for Homelander. No. Nobody is. And she masterfully, you know, used her brain, and the intelligence came out, and that's how they do it. And what's so interesting about this whole thing is basically everyone from the Seven comes back, so that they're all like even Starlight goes back to the Seven. Everyone's like, it's like nothing ever happened. Basically the same crew, because the church ended up getting A-Train back in.
Yep.
A-Train was like, fuck yeah.
Well, back in, baby. That was such a funny scene. They told them together. It was him and Deep, and they break it to A-Train. You're back in. Deep, you're not. You still suck.
What? Yeah, man. And it was and that was it, man. Everything goes back to normal, and we have the end. And dude, man, a great season, I must say.
Yeah. I mean, it really played with a lot going on with the whole Vought Corporation and everything. It was interesting to see them kind of build them up as even more of these weird super Nazi villains, right? Yeah. They go from kind of corrupt corporation to just straight up Nazis. And seeing the manipulation of the public and of the employees and of the soups and everybody is just crazy. And the boys are the, you know, with MM and Frenchie and Butcher and Huey are like, and Kamiko, you know, towards the end, they're the thing that stopped the soups. Like they're the only real good thing in the show, it seems.
Exactly. So we have this little the thing we say, whether we give this a certified dope stamp, certified dope being,
Ooh.
This is a must watch and it's a great show. Would you give season 2 of The Boys the certified dope stamp?
I absolutely would give it a certified dope stamp. You got to watch it. It's got too much going for it, man. To being the anti-superhero film, to relating to, a lot of stuff that has happened in our society and going on currently, and being compared to these big blockbuster hit movies for like Marvel and DC and stuff. Like it's just something you got to see to experience it and really see this pull of good and evil.
Absolutely, dude. I would give this show. Look, man, there's a lot going on in this season. There's a lot of murder and mayhem. Mm-hmm. But I would give this season the certified dope stamp, a Blue Magic amazing hit, first time hit, certified dope stamp. It's it's a great show, man. Very deep, very different than any other superhero show movie you've ever seen. You get to see like the true inner thoughts and the true negative thoughts and flaws within these people. They're just modified humans, man. So they obviously should be this way. Some of them, at least. In the 7, all of them are basically this way.
Oh my God, yeah.
There are good ones. Starlight's a good one. A-Train is just interesting, but he's not a great one. But yeah, man, I would say you should watch both seasons. Obviously, you have to watch the first season in order to get the second season, but I will watch both seasons and get ready for a third. We don't know when that's going to happen. It's probably going to be a while from now, but I'm ready for it, bro. What about you, Killian?
Yeah. Oh my God, I'm so ready. I got to see what happens next, man.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you coming, man. And to all the people out there, I want you to like, comment, share, subscribe, keep listening on Spotify and every other streaming service, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts, we're there. Make sure you reshare this video, like it once again, comment, and tell us if you watched the show or your favorite character on the show or your favorite moment on the show, and tell us if our recommendation was right. Look, man, come back next week. G the GOAT will be back. He's on a little vacation with his boo. You know what I mean? He'll be back with us, and we'll have another great episode of the Dope TV podcast for y'all. Thank y'all for coming out. Peace. They calling me. There we go, dude.